The court of public oblivion is what we have to call it, okay? It's just that simple, okay? Donald Trump is running to his allies in the Supreme Court, okay? There was the one who had the upside down flag. Which one was that? The one who likes to travel the country in a Winnebago that he didn't purchase too. That's when you talk about allies, that's who I'm thinking of. He wants permission to overrule the judge blocking his terminations of 16,000 federal employees. This is in response to a federal judge blocking the blanket termination of those nearly 20,000 probationary employees. How is this helping us? One of those employees might have said, don't use Signal for war planes. Maybe they would have said that. You don't want to talk about war plans over Signal. I don't know. Here are the details on why the judge blocked Trump issuing a preliminary injunction. Judge William H. Alsup of the Northern District of California acknowledged that each federal agency has the statutory authority to hire and fire its employees, even at scale, subject to certain safeguards. Okay. But he wrote that the agency that he said had coordinated the terminations, the Office of Personnel Management, had no authority to hire and fire employees in other agencies. New York Times filling in the reporting. Additional reasoning. Alsup also said the administration attempted to circumvent federal laws on reducing the workforce by attributing the firings to performance, when that was not in fact the case. Judge called the move a gimmick. Sad day when our government would fire some good employee and say it was based on performance when they know good and well that's a lie. I mean, it's like the judge, it's like this could be Real Housewives. This judge is just reading them. It's not even trying to follow along with their argument. His reinstatement order applied to probationary workers fired from the Pentagon, the Treasury, Agriculture, Energy, Veterans Affairs, Interior Department. A divided panel of the US Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit declined to pause Judge Alsup's order while the government pursued an appeal. Trump's acting Solicitor General Sarah Harris had this to say with the appeal. The lower court should not be allowed to transform themselves into all-purpose overseers of executive branch hiring, firing, contradicting, and policy making. Only this court can end the interbranch power grab. I mean, there's a power. I don't think she should have used those words, power grab, with everything swirling around this administration, but oh well. She said courts, plural, here's why. Different judge, James K. Breeder of the Federal District Court in Maryland this month also ordered the administration to reinstate federal workers in a case there brought by 19 states and the District of Columbia. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals declined to pause that temporary order. Acting Solicitor General Harris explains the difference between the two judges' orders. Ms. Harris, the administration's lawyer, told the justices that the rulings from California and Maryland overlap, but were not identical. In any event, she wrote, the Maryland order lets the administration put reinstated workers on administrative leave, meaning that the California order inflicts additional practical and administrative burdens. It's probably an impossible question. Okay, you're a great lawyer, and I want to know your prediction for the highest court in the land and what the outcome will be. But when you have certain players on this court, I mean, maybe we won't know. But the other thing that jumps out at me here is, and we've all worked in corporate America where they try to make up lies about people, okay? And then say, oh, bad performance is why we got rid of her, okay? And it's just not, you just not pass the giggle test. I keep accurate notes. Might record you too if I feel like it. If I have to, Adrienne, I know wouldn't advise me to do this all the time as a lawyer, but sometimes these things you gotta say, oh, are you gonna try to run this on me? You wanna run game or you wanna be honest? Okay, I know you know, okay? But in this case, the judge is saying, some of these people had great performance reviews and now you're saying, you're out of here. You're no good at your job. As an attorney, isn't this like basic stuff? When people hire you, I don't even know if you would take the case. You'd say, well, you just laid it out right here. This is foolishness.
And it is absolutely nonsensical. And the thing is my hat is off to these judges who are standing up and saying this is unjust and we're not going to allow this to happen. And there is law that counters what is this administration is trying to do. I really appreciate them. And as the Trump administration tries to appeal these rulings, you are going to see the circuit courts say no and allow these people to return to work. And then when it eventually goes to the US Supreme Court, I would not be surprised if the Supreme Supreme Court says we're not going to hear the issue. And that's how they punt on it, in large part because it seems that the court's real interest in terms of the conservative majority is to make sways that change society's material fabric, whether that would be our rights to access or determine what happens to our bodies or to access contraceptions. Things like that is what the conservative right on the Supreme Court seems to be foaming at the mouth, awaiting, not necessarily whether people should be able to continue to stay employed when they were doing a good job. So I don't necessarily see this working out great for Trump at the end of the day, but at the same time, I do have to be honest in saying, hey, are we really in a real kind of world right now, or is this just some kind of dystopian distance?
I mean, it depends. You know, if he and Melania had dinner with Ginny Thomas and Clarence, or I think last time, didn't they? He had a call or something with Clarence Thomas, and it wasn't about the case or anything. Okay, they just happened to connect. We got it.